This is Nioh2. I think this is a good HDR game. I'm trying to find good HDR games to see if any HDR game can be better than HLG HDR. So I have the HDR on the game, and the first sign for me of a good HDR game, it definitely have to be this HDR calibration screen. This is extremely important. So the game giving me the option to calibrate the lowest and the highest brightness. You know, the standard, it's not the lowest, it's the standard brightness and the peak brightness. That is a very good sign of a good HDR game. So this LG C1 is capable of 800 nits, 7 to 800 nits. So you do 800, and for the minimum 180. That's a recommendation from Ninjishin. It's another YouTube channel, and I listening to him. He knows a lot. He's a TV calibrator, and that's his recommendation. So let's go with that. This is dynamic tone mapping off, and I want to show you if you can see it on the video. No. Let me see if I can get closer. I'm looking at the video here. It looks a little bit blown out. I cannot do anything about that, but believe me when I tell you, if we use HGIG, boom, it's a lot better. You see the detail on that highlight. Let me see on the video. Yeah, you can see on the video that difference. So what that difference is doing basically is increasing the highlight to the point that is letting me see the sun that's behind. Yeah, it's making that sun popping and giving me more detail on the highlight. So let's take a look at the rest of the image, and then I'm gonna turn off the HDR from the game and turn on HLG HDR. Let's take a look at this. So the visibility feels a little bit more than what I would like. It looks a little bit washed out. So the entire screen is looking like an LCD. That's the way I can describe it. It's looking like you don't have perfect blacks, like everything is raised. It's looking like an LCD display. That's how this is looking. So let's take a look and see if there is anything else interesting here as a point of comparison. Any other point of comparison? No, it's the same. Yeah, this is a good point to compare. Let's see how it looks then. So let me turn off that HDR from the game. Disable HDR. Boom. So now it's SDR. Let me see if it's correct or if I have to turn off. No, I have to turn off the HDR from Windows. Just a second here to toggle off that HDR from Windows. It's off. Okay, let's see now. Yeah, I think that's looking washed out. Super washed out. I might need to restart the game. Well, if this is the way SDR looks, it's horrible. It's looking bad. But let me see. If it looks bad, then I will just restart the game. Let's take a look at 1113111. Oh, I think it's fine. So yeah, I'm not sure this is better than the HDR from the game. I would be really happy to find a good example where Oh, it's HDIG. Okay, so I think I'm gonna call this a win for the HDR from the game. Let me take a look at this part. Well, no, this is better. Let me explain why this is better. Man, I thought the HDR from the game was gonna be better. Let me take a look at the highlight one more time and make sure I still see the same detail. Yeah, the sun is popping even more, and I can see all the branches that are between the character and the sun. And the reason why I say it's better, and I thought it wasn't, the reason why I say it's better, you remember when I told you this is looking like an LCD screen? Now, this part of the image is looking less washed out. Still doesn't look great, but I have like more contrast. Is the luminance, it feels about the same luminance, but no, it feels less. It feels like a lower luminance inside, but it's not only that, it has more contrast. So I'll tell you what's the difference. So if I turn on HDIG, so if I change the tone mapping to HDIG, then I think I'm going to prefer the game HDR. So if I do this, yes. So if I do this HDIG, I'm going to prefer the in-game HDR because this is looking as washed out as the in-game HDR. Yes. And I would go with the in-game HDR. Let me take a look at the highlight here. The highlight is still higher, a lot higher actually, than the in-game HDR. This is even better because the highlight is the same or more, with more brightness, but it is giving you a higher dynamic range. Let me take a look at this part here. Let me get that menu out of the way. Yeah, this is better. This is better. A lot better actually. So the problem, what I see, and you can go back on the video and judge yourself. Of course, I cannot represent on a video the same that you cannot see the same that I see. So you have to trust me. What I see, and the reason why I think this is a better presentation, it looks less washed out. The regular HDR from the game, it was looking like an LCD screen that you are raising the brightness too much. That's the way it was looking. The highlight was okay. It was not as impactful as this, not even close. That sun is popping a lot more, and I can still see the details, those trees behind. So this is better. Like I said, you tell me one game that you think, hey bro, this game is HDR is just insane. You have to test that out. It's gonna be better. Or if you can test yourself, if you have a C1 or a CX, C2, if you can test yourself the difference between a game HDR implementation and this HLG HDR with the tone mapping off, or even with HDIG, whichever you prefer, tell me, hey brother, I was testing, it looks better to me. This game HDR looks better to me. And I would love to check that out. I really, because I'm yet to find a single game that is better. The developer's implementation is better. And I mean, it doesn't get, in terms of settings, it doesn't get any better than this. A developer giving you the option to change, basically, yeah, I don't have the HDR menu because I turn off HDR from Windows, but the developer giving you the top peak brightness and the standard brightness option, that's as good as it gets in terms of HDR calibration. So there's a lot of games that HDR is just on and off. So that's just crap. Don't even look at that. Don't waste your time. It's just crappy HDR implementation. So yeah, this is better, and yeah, it's not even, it doesn't have any defect. It's just perfect. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see that you don't need to know how to set up HDRs in any game. You just turn on that and you're set. Any game you open is gonna look good. I can tell you that for sure. There might be a game or some games that have a better HDR implementation. I'm yet to find one. But even if they have a better HDR implementation, you need to know how to set up the settings. So yeah, I'm yet to find that example.